To be a prime minister of Israel requires an enormous amount of strength. I think more strength than I can say I really know. I was never in such a position. I probably will never be in a position even near that. But I do understand, to the extent that I can, that it's a very difficult position to be in, and there's enormous pressure, and the stakes are very high. Making decisions when stakes are high are terrifying. It's easier to be reactive than to be proactive. All of that being said and all of that being understood, we still need to, for the sake of the lives of every single Jew, we need to speak what must be done. And we're not saying this in a critical way, we're saying this in an enlightening way. And one of the main points I want to get across is this, and I shared this in the email. Every single Jew that is aligned with what we must be doing, even if Israel's not fully doing it yet, we are strengthening the ability for Israel to do it. Because if every Jew were to stand up in the world and know what needs to be done and speak it openly and clearly, then the prime minister would have a much easier time doing it. So we play a significant role, every one of us, one at a time, in the way we think and the way we speak and the way we stand as a Jew when a comment comes to us. And that's really the change that we can bring to this entire issue, and that's what we're getting at, and that's what you'll benefit from as we go through all of the points that we're going to be making tonight. The courage to stick to the principles. That's really one of the biggest challenges. October 7th essentially magnified the cycle that Israel has been dealing with for all of its years, so we'll say since 1948, and even really before 1948. This is a cycle that Israel has continued. It's a cycle. It's a terrible, vicious cycle that repeats itself. There's an attack. Israel responds. The world condemns Israel. There is internal confusion about what to do. There is a call for a ceasefire. We go for the ceasefire. And it's just a matter of a few days or a few weeks or a few months, and we're right back in the cycle again. And the cost is Jewish lives. And honestly, the cost is Arab lives. That's also true. The cost is Arab lives. It's human beings who are being killed because of this vicious cycle, which no one has figured out yet how to stop. There is one path that has not been tried. And here's the key to this path. The key to this path is that it needs to be tried 100%. That's part of the path. The path is that you do it 100%, because if you do it 95%, it's not the path. And you'll understand what I'm saying as we go through this. It's got to be 100% that we're sticking to the path. And were we to stick to this path, we would see a completely different outcome, and we would break this vicious cycle. The courage that obviously is required, that despite the Rebbe begging and crying, right, and speaking directly to leaders who respected his vision greatly, but their inability to follow it clearly shows that there was some lack of courage, and we all need to be a part of the courage. And this is the Torah's prescription for lasting security. So what I'm sharing with you is not my ideas. It's not the Rebbe's ideas. It's just the Rebbe's explaining of the Torah's ideas. Now, there are three principal issues that we're going to that Israel has been dealing with. If you go to page 12 in your handout, in your student book, you'll see figure 1. The first issue is Jews wounded and dying. Jews getting wounded, which itself is horrific. And then, of course, death. I don't even need to tell you. This is issue number 1, that we need to stop the vicious cycle that leads to Jews being injured and dying. Number 2, there's an endless cycle of violence. And even the hawks in Israel and in Israel have not been able to stop this endless cycle of violence. Right? Who was the one who gave Gaza to the Palestinians? Sharon. He was one of the biggest hawks that Israel had in their army. Right? And after years of being a hawk, we still didn't have peace. And I don't know what went into his decision, but he made this decision. Maybe he said, maybe this will work. It's just a sign, though, that even the hawks have not been able to figure out how to stop this cycle of violence. And then we have what we all know, and that is worldwide anti-Semitism, where right is wrong, or wrong is right, black is white, white is black, where the world is totally flipped on its head. There's, even arguing a point is meaningless because we're not talking to people who are arguing ideas. And this is a major, major issue that we're dealing with as well. There are three very good things, however. There's one very good thing that has happened since October 7th is axiomatic truths that many, many people believed in have been debunked. And those axiomatic truths, when I say axiomatic, I don't mean literally axiomatic, but I mean truths that people believed were axiomatic are no longer axiomatic. And I want to say that that's a huge blessing, because nothing until now was able to break people's beliefs in certain ideas, which are not Torah ideas, about how to resolve the issue. So this is very, very powerful. However, we need to know what is the truth. That's number one. Number two is that the Torah has a map to peace. And the Torah's map to peace is compassionate, will save lives on all sides, and we have tremendous control over the situation. This is very important to know. I always tell people, if you're not the problem, you've got a big problem. If you are the problem, it's wonderful, because then you can be the solution. We can be the solution. That's the good news. If we follow what the Torah teaches us, as we'll learn tonight, we can actually be the solution. We have tremendous control over the situation. And lastly, the point I made a little bit earlier, every one of us has the ability to make an impact. I just want everyone here to know this deeply. The way you hold your Jewishness and the way you hold the ideas we are going to be discussing tonight, many of which you already may know and may be aligned with, the way you carry that is the difference that we as a Jewish people and that Israel needs. The one Jew that you are walking with clarity, unapologetically, clearly knowing what we stand for and how we respond. And the approach of the Torah, so those are the three things. Axiomatic truths have been debunked. The Torah is the map, and we have tremendous control. And number three, every one of us can have a significant impact. And the Torah's approach is intuitive. Definitely for me, it's very intuitive and very straightforward. It's not complex. We're not going to get stuck in a quagmire of philosophy. It's actually very straightforward. It's very grounded. And these are the ideas the Rebbe was telling leaders for years and years and years.